Her doctor neighbor borrowed $50K, then the camera caught everything. A respected physician, a $50,000 loan, and a piece of surveillance footage that made an entire courtroom go silent. For 6 years, the landlord and the doctor had been more than neighbors. They were the kind of friends who shared holiday dinners, borrowed each other's tools, and kept spare keys to each other's homes. The landlord, a semi-retired property owner managing a portfolio of 7 rental units in a mid-sized Midwestern city, had built his modest wealth slowly, carefully over 3 decades. The doctor, a family physician with a private practice 2 miles down the road, had been his closest friend since they both moved onto Claremont Street in the spring of a year that felt, as the landlord would later testify, like the happiest of his life. That friendship ended on March 14th, when the landlord filed suit in civil court demanding repayment of $57,400. $50,000 in principal, plus interest calculated at 5% annually over 4 years, as informally agreed upon. The landlord claimed he had wired the money in a single transfer in February 4 years prior, at the doctor's urgent request, to cover a private medical equipment purchase for the practice during a cash flow crisis. No formal contract had been signed. The entire arrangement, the landlord testified, had been built on trust. The landlord's case was methodical and deeply personal. He produced bank records showing the outgoing wire transfer of exactly $50,000 to an account registered to the doctor's practice. He produced a series of text messages in which the doctor acknowledged receiving the funds and wrote, in a now infamous exchange, "I'll make this right, I promise. You're saving me." He testified that over the following years, he had asked for repayment on at least 11 separate occasions, and each time had been met with delays, excuses, and eventually silence. By the time he filed suit, the friendship had been dead for over a year. What hurt him most, he told the court, wasn't the money, it was the silence. The doctor's defense was equally coherent and far more startling. She did not dispute receiving the $50,000. What she disputed was the nature of the transaction. According to her testimony, the wire transfer was not a loan at all. It was payment for services rendered. Over the course of 3 years, she claimed, she had provided the landlord with extensive private medical consultations, prescription management, and after-hours care, none of which had ever been formally billed. She had kept records, she said, detailed ones. She produced handwritten clinical logs totaling 94 documented visits, which she valued at her standard rate of $380 per hour, arriving at a figure of $57,200. In her accounting, the landlord didn't just owe her nothing. He owed her a debt of gratitude, and arguably a small amount beyond what he'd already paid. The courtroom shifted. Suddenly, both sides had paper. Both sides had numbers that almost matched, and the judge had a problem. Then came the footage. The doctor's office building had installed a new security system 18 months prior, one that logged all entry and exit events with time-stamped video. When the defendant's own attorney submitted the footage as exculpatory evidence, intending to show the landlord's frequent visits to the practice, it accomplished exactly the opposite. The log showed 94 entries under the landlord's name, consistent with her records. But the timestamps placed the majority of those visits on weekday afternoons, during hours the doctor had separately testified. In a deposition, she was routinely in surgery rotations at a hospital across town. The system didn't lie. 23 of the 94 visits had occurred on dates when security badge records at the hospital confirmed the doctor had been physically present there, sometimes for 8 or 9 hours straight, 23 visits that couldn't have happened the way she said they did. The plaintiff's attorney asked for nothing dramatic. He simply pointed at the screen and let the math do the work. The judge ruled in favor of the landlord. The doctor was ordered to repay the full $57,400 within 90 days, plus court costs of $3,200. The clinical logs, the judge noted in her written opinion, were not fabricated in whole, but they had been materially altered to justify a debt that the evidence suggested had never existed. The ruling stopped short of referring the matter to the medical board, but the opinion was entered into the public record. The doctor's practice saw a significant decline in patients within months of the ruling becoming local news. The landlord, by most accounts, did not celebrate. Neighbors reported that he quietly removed the spare key he had kept on a hook by his back door for years, the one that had once belonged to the woman who had been his closest friend. The money was repaid. The friendship, of course, was not. Which leaves a question worth sitting with. If the surveillance footage had never existed, if the only evidence had been 2 people's competing versions of the same handshake agreement, Would justice have been possible at all? Or does the truth only matter when someone remembers to install a camera?